Today we are going to discuss the recent development that Netflix has introduced, or rather recent in quotes since it was announced quite a while ago. Netflix has consistently faced a challenge since its inception, a challenge for them but not necessarily for the audience, which involves all these unauthorized accounts, all these accounts that share screens for a minimal fee. They recognized this issue and decided that it could not persist, so they devised something known as Netflix Home, or Home with Netflix. Today, we are going to delve into this topic, exploring what it signifies and what potential options might exist to slightly circumvent this process, though I must inform you from the outset that the prospects are not particularly promising. Primarily, I believe Netflix has evolved into a platform that, while it may offer excellent content for some individuals, for many others, it does not meet their expectations. Furthermore, with the abundance of competition from platforms like Disney, HBO, and several others, including Apple's, it has somewhat receded into the background. There is a vast array of content available for us to enjoy online, and by incorporating this type of restriction, it significantly impacts us. Not only because, well, let's say we are not the individuals who purchase screens or anything of that nature, but we share it with our family members even though we do not necessarily reside together. In this scenario, we would encounter a substantial issue because for those who still do not comprehend what this message entails, Netflix essentially introduced the concept of home with Netflix, where the home is defined by the internet connection on the device we are utilizing. In other words, if I am at a relative's residence and that individual has Netflix and shares that account with me, I will only be able to access it if I am connected to the same internet that person has at their home. However, if subsequently, let's say I return to my own residence and I am here with my Wi-Fi network and wish to log in, this message will appear because I am not part of that home with Netflix. Furthermore, they have introduced an additional feature that we will examine a bit later. In this context, let's consider the straightforward approach of updating Home with Netflix. As indicated below, essentially what this will accomplish is updating the Wi-Fi network. For instance, when I'm at my own residence, it will identify my Wi-Fi as the primary one. However, when I'm at my relative's place, this notification will begin to appear. Therefore, it's necessary to establish a primary location where everyone consistently views content to prevent any issues and guarantee that everyone watches it there rather than elsewhere. We also possess an alternative option for this particular situation and for when traveling, which I utilize here so you can observe. I choose I'm traveling and it provides me with the subsequent steps. I am able to obtain a code to access Netflix on this television, but solely if a notification or code is dispatched to the email address or phone number of the account holder. In a manner, this actually saves us as it addresses several of the criticisms individuals had. And what occurs if I embark on a journey? Well, you can still manage it, but I perceive the issue more as Netflix presuming that all families perpetually reside together, and that's not always the case. Occasionally, families reside, potentially in the same city but in separate homes, with distinct internet connections, and they didn't comprehend this and couldn't devise a more effective resolution than this. The problem here is that yes, they can obviously send me the code, I enter it, and everything is fine, but if I have to keep doing this and bothering, for example, my family member who has the Netflix account in their name, then I'm going to have to constantly be asking them, hey, could you please send me the code? Could you kindly send me the code? Would you be so kind as to send me the code? Nevertheless, it is simply a provisional solution when contemplating the complementary options accessible because let's explore for those who have not yet observed the updates and announcements from Netflix. This is what they have introduced to mitigate all the screen sharing and everything that was transpiring. It is indeed accurate that this situation can occur on any platform, but the platform most significantly impacted is Netflix in particular. Nevertheless, we observe that on no other platform has there been any alteration, not on Disney, HBO, Apple, or any similar service. Everything continues to remain unchanged. However, let's delve into what I intended to convey to you, and it's this. Initially, we encounter the details necessary to refresh the location with Netflix, which is exactly what I was explaining to you, that if we proceed with that, it will automatically recognize the new network as the primary network, and all the devices connected to that network will have the ability to access Netflix without any alert message or anything of that nature. However, if we are persistently alternating between different networks from one individual to another, we are likely to encounter a significant issue with the continual switching because the procedure is invariably cumbersome to perform repeatedly. As you are able to observe, we are indeed required to send out emails or text messages, and here we notice that the internet connection is commonly referred to as cable internet or Wi-Fi internet. Nevertheless, this is one of the aspects I wanted you to notice because it is rather tedious. The second thing is this idea. They create many ideas, they're quite curious, and well, I get it because of the business model, but I feel this wasn't the solution. Netflix, what transpired, it indicates there's this notion of additional members which was non-existent previously. It used to be merely a single account for all individuals and that was sufficient. However, now they've introduced this feature for supplementary members, and it mentions here that account holders have the ability to acquire an extra member slot and extend invitations to individuals who are part of their household to utilize Netflix. Check plans and prices to know the prices for extra members. The extra member will have their own profile and their own account and password, but the membership will be paid by the person who invited them to join, that is the main person, meaning where the household is primarily located, they will pay a monthly fee. And it is assumed that we as extra members should pay another monthly fee that is included within the initial payment, within the main payment, so to speak. Here they try to present it as if we are getting many benefits, and it's the usual topic, obviously being able to watch Netflix content and so on and so forth. However, there is something quite intriguing about the pricing and plans specifically focused on Colombia. If you happen to be in a different country, you would primarily need to check the details there. But here in Colombia, an interesting situation arises. Within the basic membership, as you can observe, there is absolutely no option available for adding an extra member. It is only within the standard and premium memberships that there exists an option to incorporate up to one additional member who does not reside with you. Exercise caution within this particular context because it mentions a specific option and numerous individuals might become perplexed and assume that, for instance, they can purchase the standard membership and subsequently, without any additional steps, add an extra member. However, it is not that straightforward. You must initially acquire this membership to then have the opportunity to pay an additional fee to include that extra member. Furthermore, if you desire to incorporate more than one individual, you must opt for the premium category or the premium plan, which permits the addition of up to 2 extra members. This completely restricts the family, implying that if you are a large group, you will have to share a single account among everyone because oh my goodness. And as we observe down here, the pricing details are presented, which is precisely what I was discussing with you. It mentions the option, but it does not explicitly state that it directly provides us with 2 slots to incorporate 2 additional individuals. It does not specify, for example, that if we opt for the premium plan, which possesses the highest capacity, it will charge us 38,900 pesos here in Colombia, and we will have the opportunity to add 2 individuals for an extra fee of 8,900 pesos each per month. So, what does this mean? I am the person in the main household with the main membership paying 38 to 900 pesos. If others, like those in my household but not at the same address, want Netflix, they'll pay 8,900 pesos each. Each family must organize because in my view, it's unfair that the main household pays 38,900 pesos while others pay 8,900 pesos. It's not even justifiable that this 8,900 peso situation exists. There are many comments on social media saying that they are no longer going to use Netflix and that Netflix needs to realize this, so each of you must decide if this really interests you or not. I personally hold the belief, and this is merely my individual opinion, that if a substantial number of individuals genuinely cease using Netflix due to this sort of situation and Netflix observes a significant decline in memberships, I believe they might revert everything back to the way it was previously. Ultimately, it is advantageous for them if a large number of people continue to utilize screens, at least to keep engaging with it and not abandon it entirely. Therefore, we simply have to be patient, my friends. Regrettably, this has already been put into effect here in Colombia as well as in numerous Latin American nations. This had been previously announced, and it was thought to be some sort of rumor or jest by this platform, but ultimately just a few days ago, a significant number of individuals on Twitter made this trend or checked on social media and exclaimed, "What do you mean? What has transpired?" Well, they have already put it into effect. It is now an integral part of the platform and there is no method to eliminate it other than claiming we are traveling. If that solution works for you, then proceed, but there is truly no way to circumvent this type of restriction they have established. So with that being said, friends, if you've reached this point in the video, please leave a comment sharing your thoughts on this modification by Netflix. Leave a small screen emoji if you've made it this far and we will simply have to wait and observe. Any updates from Netflix here in Colombia, I will inform you. See you next time. Bye bye.